Welcome to the Tabletop Gaming Guild podcast, a podcast all about the experiences and memories that board games with friends and family can create. On this episode, we're going to discuss our wish list games. I am Dan Regwitz, and I am here with
James Wilson
and Nathan Wilson.
And now we'll discuss what you can send us in the mail.
I'm going to skip all the ones on my wish list that begin with Mansions of Madness expansion.
That's officially a way to cheat, by the way, because I limit myself to a certain number of games per year, but I only count expansions as half a game.
Oh, I don't even count them as a game.
So 2 expansions count as a full game.
I might limit my game collection a little more than I want to. So here's a question. Do you throw away your expansion box?
I do not. Most of my expansion boxes are stored empty, by the way, in my basement.
I say I throw away about 50% of my expansion boxes.
I probably could throw mine away. Logistically speaking, if I get rid of any of those games, I'm getting rid of the expansion with the base game.
I just put them in the base game, and I start getting rid of them when I run out of room, because I actually use them as spacers behind my Calyx shelf to keep my daughter from pushing back the board games.
Oh yeah, no, I've got empty boxes behind my shelf, because the shelf's pretty deep.
I know the answer for Nathan. Nathan, do you throw away any of your expansion boxes? No, I do not. All right, here's another question. Do you throw away your inserts?
No! I don't throw anything away.
Absolutely. I throw away inserts because I sleeve everything, and games that have cards in them usually have these nice little insert spots where the deck of cards goes that no longer functions once the cards are sleeved.
I'd say I'm the same. I throw away almost every single one of my inserts. Only a couple survive. Some of the inserts actually work with sleeved cards and expansion boxes, but eventually when I get enough expansions, those go too.
I've still got a couple, honestly, but for the most part, they're, this is just a cardboard thing that can go away. That's just eating up space. Because it's just there for packaging and shipping anyways, so.
So this will give you an idea of the extent of my problem. So the games I've taken the inserts out of, I actually have the box of inserts just sitting around.
People may not be able to see my surprise face, but it looks like my normal face because it's not surprising.
I'm just imagining this giant, plastic bin that you would use to, ship stuff in, just filled with nothing but inserts.
I got an insert for my inserts.
It would keep them well organized.
Yeah?
Oh yeah. Not really.
I know Dan sleeves all of his games, but have you ever played a game to the point where it was destroyed? Or at least to the point where you're like, I would like to replace this game.
Have not.
Well, we did replace the cards for Settlers of Catan. Of course, at this point, we don't play it anymore, and actually I'm going to get rid of my copies of Settlers. Just because I played them so much, it pretty much destroyed the game. And now I'm just sick of it.
I don't think anything I've got has hit that level. That's saying a lot, though, because, I guess there's paltry few games that are that high of a play count in my collection. The highest would be the ones that I owned prior to my BGG logging that I still, in fact, own in my collection. I'm not even sure what that would be off the top of my head. TTR, but that's sleeved, and there's not a lot of other components to wear. I've definitely got some games with dinged tiles in the boxes, but I'm okay with slightly dinged tiles as long as the wear is relatively uniform.
I do have a game still over there that's completely destroyed, and that's Takanoko. We played that game until, even the tiles are, all faded. And
The Panda game?
The Panda game, yeah. You have the little hexagonal squares where you try to grow the bamboo, or you try to have the panda eat certain colors of the bamboo. When people say that they play 100 games or something, they generally don't. I played well over 100 games of this with my family. Well over.
Fair enough.
But yeah, you can't even read the cards. The tiles are bad. It got its money worth out of it.
You think we should talk about what happened to our Ming game?
I got 2 free copies out of that, plus I bought another one on eBay.
So, when we were younger, we used to play this game called Ming a lot. We'd play it for 8 hours straight sometimes. It's a simple card game based on Mahjong. It's a set collecting. You're trying to get all the sets laid out in your hand so you can go out. But we've played this game so much that cards were almost unreadable. So my mom had the brilliant idea of trying to clean the cards. It was scrubbing these cards, and the cards were disintegrating. That pretty much destroyed that game, unfortunately, and we ended up contacting the company who doesn't actually make the game anymore, and they actually made a special run. And we got like a dozen copies, gave them to a bunch of family members, and it was kind of cool the company was willing to make a special print just for us.
They were probably lying through their teeth around that and had some left over in a closet.
That's entirely possible.
Yeah, no, it's certainly possible. I guess that means I have had destroyed games in my history, because I wasn't counting anything from my days as a kid. I grew up with two brothers, so, yeah, we probably destroyed some stuff somewhere along the ways.
Is it as good as like when I was a kid and Magic the Gathering was first coming out and they were selling it in gas stations and all over the place? We bought alpha and beta packs and we played those cards until they were destroyed. We would chop them up and make like our own little cards out of them and not realizing they're worth like a gazillion dollars.
No. All the games that we destroyed were probably of the family genre. Like, I definitely remember a game of Clue that when we moved out of the house that we grew up in, we didn't even bother giving that away to charity. I think we tossed it. It was in bad enough shape. So, there you go. Well, at least one casualty. Probably more.
There you go. You got into the I played a game till it got destroyed club.
Yeah.
It counts. It
Yeah,
counts.
I guess.
So we're going to go into our wish list of games. Dan, what would one of your games that's on your wish list?
I own almost the entire Tiny Epic line, and they've got one more game coming out before the end of the year, Tiny Epic Tactics, and pretty much a foregone conclusion that I'm going to pick this up as soon as it hits the store. I might even get the maps expansion. We'll see.
So in Tiny Epic Tactics, you have multiple levels. You use the box inserts to make different heights, and then that somehow affects the game.
It's a light tactical, I don't want to call it minis game because the minis are just meeples. The meeples have various individual powers represented by cards, and you have one of each of 4 different classes, so the different classes function differently in terms of the tactical movement and placement, because there's an area control element to the game. The marquee, gimmick of this title is that the box comes with a series of nested boxes like a Russian doll, and you unpack it and you turn the box over and you turn these nested boxes into the terrain in addition to the rollout map.
But yeah, Tiny Epic Tactics is really cool. You just got Tiny Epic Mechs, right?
Yeah, I got that one earlier this year. I actually backed it on Kickstarter to get the pre-order bonus, which was extra weapons and unique player powers, which I'm down for that.
What is your favorite Tiny Epic game? Which one do you come back to the most?
I think Galaxy is at the top of my play log, so we'll go with that one.
Yeah, that one seems to be like the overwhelming favorite so far. Although Tiny Epic Quest is really fun.
Yeah, that's pretty good, yeah.
Alright, so Nathan, what's one of your wish list games?
I'm super excited about one of the games that's coming out, and that's Dune. The original Dune was made by the same people who made Cosmic Encounters, and it has a lot of similarities. It went out of print a long time ago, and finally making a new version of it, keeping a lot of the same, but fixing some of the rules. But it's all about overpowered player powers and, negotiating and lots of player conflict. I'm really excited to try it out.
I've heard a lot about that. I always wanted to play it. Any game like Glory to Rome, every combo seems broken.
Yes.
In Dune, every player power seems like the most broken thing on the face of the planet.
Yep.
And I like how that balances out.
From what I've heard, they do a good job of capturing the theme. One of the races you play as is the Seer race, which has actually kind of a cool power. What the Seer race does is, at the beginning of the game, you predict who's actually going to win the game. And if they actually win at the end, you actually win instead.
And you can pick yourself.
Yes. Everything's super overpowered and seems like it should be broken, but it still works.
My number one thing of ever to ever want forever. And that was a sentence. We're going with it. It was a sentence. Other than Mansions of Madness, which is creeping into my favorite game of all times, Blood Rage and, to a lesser extent, Rising Sun are two of my most favorite games ever. I played a ton of games with Blood Rage. It's an awesome game. I love Rising Sun. It's just longer and more complicated. So in the trilogy, a third one's coming out, And that one is Ankh, Gods of Egypt, designed by Eric Lang, and Adrian Smith is going to do the art again. Toting it as a more streamlined, faster version of Blood Rage, which really gets me interested. So if I can play it in an hour, because Blood Rage takes like an hour and a half, if I can play it within an hour, I will play the mess out of that game, especially since it has similar mechanism. And it actually has a really cool mechanism in it where you play as a god. So you're the god this time instead of trying to control like the godlike creatures. And you control the creatures to go out on your battlefield and stuff. But if you find yourself losing, like Dan and I are losing, and Nathan's winning, we can combine our god into one god and fight Nathan together. And the person with the lowest score on our team will be the score we get at the end. So I think that's pretty cool. Like, you could just team up.
Yeah.
If you're not doing so well.
Yeah, it's unusual that you can make that kind of alliance. I'm assuming that it's permanent. It can't be undone in the middle of the game.
In Egyptian mythology, a lot of the gods become one god. So in the same method, you actually become one now. You can't separate.
I'll give them credit for thematic tie-ins. Ancient Egypt's pantheon is a mess filled with gods and female versions of the same gods. And
the minis on that, they look amazing.
What was the subtitle of that again?
Ankh, Gods of Egypt. It's set to go out on Kickstarter probably in a couple months. No actual date. Oh, yeah, I'm totally back in this. This time, I am getting the mat. I didn't get the mat on the Blood Rage one, where they did the digital Kickstarter, and I have no idea why I did not get the mat.
Mm-hmm.
I will have to rob Nathan.
Did I get the mat? I'm not sure.
There's no point in me robbing you if you didn't get the mat. These miniatures are crazy. Like the Blood Rage ones, they were really good. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep practicing my miniature painting to get to that point. And then the Rising Sun one comes up, and they're insanely better than the Blood Rage ones. And now these ones look at or above Game Workshop level.
Yeah, I called up an image of one now, and boy, is that intricate on the costuming.
I know. Oh, man, it would be a while before I would want to paint them.
I don't have the skills for that. I wouldn't touch that with a brush in fear of making it worse.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, man, those are so good. I'm going to be so happy when this game comes out. So happy when I get it to the table. I actually hardly ever back anything on Kickstarter, but like his games are phenomenal. So it's definitely going to be a blind back for me. I don't know any other designer I would do that with at all on Kickstarter, at least.
I've been conducting a little bit of research into the realm of roll and write games. Right? And a large number of the roll and write games I have encountered to be very boring because they're just combinations of numbers or colors, and you stack them in rows and columns, and it's like playing a spreadsheet. There's two definitely on my radar. One is Welcome To, where you're using the roll and write to basically build a neighborhood. And the other one is called Cartographer's Tale, where you're using these Tetris-like shapes to fill in your board with terrain types. And there's various ways to score those. Both very roll and writes with totally avoiding the abstract nature that early roll and writes adopted. So definitely intrigued.
I like both of them too because of the fact that there's no dice involved in either of them. So with dice, you'll randomly get the same thing over and over again. Both of those, you're going to flip a card, which simulates rolling a die, but it's going to be spread out. So you're not going to get like the L-shaped Tetris piece every single time.
I don't recall how the Cartographer's Tale works, but I know Welcome To is draw two cards and you get a number and a shape on both cards, but you can mix and match them however you like to fill in your board.
So in Cartographer, you flip the card and it's going to be Tetris-like shape and it's going to be like a train type. What you need to do is you need to place on your board somewhere, and you're trying to match the bonuses that are out at the time for the queen's realm that she wants to see. The cool thing about the game is you get two different train types to pick from on the card that you flip, and there's a top and the bottom. And if you run into trouble, you can just do a single space of any train.
As a wild card, you can choose not to do anything with the cards that are flipped up if they're absolutely terrible for whatever your game plan is.
Right, and you need to make those points. You want to make that go. And the other cool thing about Cartographer, so it's unlike Welcome To, where you build your grids and you build your town and stuff, is Cartographer actually has a player interaction in the Goblin Attacks card.
Oh, yeah, you pass your board to your neighbor.
And they pick where it goes, yeah. So that's really cool. I mean, like, you have to deal with that because every area around the goblin attacks thing that you can't cover is a negative point. So if they're smart and they put it off in a weird place, you're going to be spending time trying to mitigate point loss over trying to maximize your points that you get for your bonus. But that game sounds awesome.
That's the other cool thing about that game. Every game has 3 effectively random scoring cards dealt out. They're scored at different points in the game. So after you've scored, you have to do the first one early because that's when it's going to score. But you can work on the third one all game if you want to go that route.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see like how you balance that all out or what you think the best strategy is going to be.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say I was pretty quiet on that roll and write because I do have a very odd blind spot. I have no roll and writes in my game collection, and I've only ever played one roll and write ever, and it was one for preschoolers.
You played Yahtzee.
That's not a... Well, yeah, okay, technically.
Yahtzee's 100% a roll and write.
I'm not sure if that's specifically designed for preschoolers.
No, Yahtzee's not designed for preschoolers. But yeah, Yahtzee's a roll and write.
I cannot remember the name of this game that I played, but I was playing with a group of adults, and it was basically... You were given a coloring book, you roll a dice, and a number comes up, and you find that number on your coloring book and have to color that in. It's basically a coloring book bingo.
That sounds super awful. The problem with the roll and writes, I think the major part is there is so many of them right now, and you don't hear about most of them because I'm pretty sure most of them are horrible. Your Gonchan Clever, you got your Cartographers, you got your Welcome To.
Yeah, there was a huge flood of them this year, and they kind of got blurred because there was just so many of them.
So now you're just stalling. What is your wish list game? Because it's definitely not a roll and write.
Apparently not.
No. Well, I do love Twilight Imperium. I played 3rd edition, and I've been wanting to try the 4th edition for a long time. The only real problem with that is it's pretty expensive. Twilight Imperium, if you don't know, is epic space conquering. You're trying to spread out throughout the universe and develop technologies and just basically rule the galaxy. It's a long game, so you have to be ready for long, epic, exciting...
I love Twilight Imperium. It is one of my favorite games ever. It is the best 12-hour game you will ever play. It's amazing, like, you have a 12-hour game, right? That's a long time. That's half a day. Not counting sleepy time.
Do you take a nap in the middle?
We just do like the preschool game, like at the mats and stuff, and just take a power nap in the middle of the game. When you're playing it, time flies 10 hours in, and you're like, what is happening? Because you just feel like you just got started. It's really, really good.
I think for 4th edition, they got it down to 8 hours.
They tried to streamline it. Like, I watched the video on all the rule changes and stuff. Twilight Imperium, super awesome. Dan's going to play it. I don't care if I duct tape him to a chair, and he can't leave. He will like it. Will like it. No, it is an awesome game. We do like an epic game night in the middle of every year, so I'll definitely invite you to that. It'll be epic.
Assuming my work schedule cooperates, I may be up for that, because I shall not turn down the opportunity to give such a lauded game a try. It is a game that has entered the gaming lexicon, as it were.
Yeah, it's one of those games as a hobbyist you have to play. So, my wish list game, because I'm going to skip Twilight Imperium 4, you can send that to me if you really feel that portion. But I'm going to skip that one. I do like Euros, but so far, no Euros on my wish list. The next one is Inish. I really, really want to get this game, really want to play it. The balance of trying to get either enough territories or have enough influence in an area, and you have these simple different markers that you can do to win. But, right before you win, you have to claim that you're going to win, so everyone gets one turn to stop you. I think it's a really cool idea. I also like the Celtic art. A lot of people don't, but I don't care. I like it. I also like the fact that it's roll selection, so you get X cards in your hand and you draft those. And it's the order that you play them that matters.
I love the art in this.
Yeah, I do love the art in the Inish. It's very Celtic. It's very nice.
I've heard of this game. I think you'll probably like it. My initial impression of it was kind of similar to Blood Rage, actually, in the way that the cards work and the area control works, so...
Yeah, I'll probably end up liking it then.
I don't know how accurate that impression was, because that's just from reading about the game and maybe watching a video or two, so...
If I ever get it, you'll have to play it. So what's your next wish list game there, Dan?
This is a game that only recently came on my radar, but it is quickly jumped toward the game that I am most excited to play that I haven't played yet, and that's The Quacks. The Quacks of Quedlinburg. The game looks pretty spiffy. It's a bag building game, and I found it while looking into bag building games, so there may be one or two more of those on my list later, but I don't have any bag building games, even though I have a good number of deck building and card-based engine building games, and this definitely stood out as something I absolutely had to try.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this game. I played it a couple times and I've been meaning to buy it. Yeah, every time I went, it just wasn't available at the time I went in the store. But
extra bonus, there is an expansion coming out for this game. If you weren't already aware of that,
yeah,
the expansion includes more books so that the different shits can have even a wider variety of special powers, which sounds great to me.
I think they did the push luck element very well, where it's like, if you push your luck too far, you don't completely lose out. You still get something and you don't fall terribly behind. But the more you push it, the more you get.
Better if you don't blow up, yes.
Yeah. And it had a good catch-up mechanism that never felt too powerful, so there was never any point where someone intentionally falling behind so they could take advantage of the catch-up mechanism.
It's not heavy-weighted.
Yeah, it's a good family game, but as you can play with a group of adults, and I think they'll all enjoy it.
I think that one's my number one bag building game that I would look forward to playing. Altiplano, I don't like llamas. I'm not in the llama camp. I don't like llamas.
I did some research on that game too when I was looking into bag builders, and to me it seemed just slightly over convoluted for its own good.
And as llamas.
Yeah, the llamas are cute.
Llamas are cute. They're evil. The other one was Orleans. That game is older, so I'm sure Quacks of Quedlinburn's more streamlined and better than it.
I'm struggling with a wish list because, as you know, I buy everything. So there's very little on my wish list I haven't bought yet.
Do you have Mezzo yet? That's a wish list of mine, Mezzo.
I have backed it on Kickstarter. I have not yet got it. But I'm excited to finally get that. It should be coming soon.
I have lots of Euros that I like playing. But another area control game that I really want to get, that is on my wish list, is Mezzo.
All right, so tell me about Mezzo.
Basically, it's your typical area control game. But the difference is, there's a lot of player interaction when you're trying to do said area control. You have your different gods you can plop in there, and you have different action-reaction things you can do, and you have your different followers. You can sacrifice your followers to gain points later on or whatever. But basically, the cool thing when I watched the videos on this was the fact that when someone tries to take an area and control it before the end of the round, there's a lot of trickery and things you can do directly or indirectly to subvert that control. The direct control, of course, is the reactionary. When they go to that area and they're trying to do it, you just take them out before the end of the round. The other cool thing that you can do is you can move stuff into adjacent territory or different territory, and you can do different things to move those guys in at the end of the round. It looked like it has really cool mechanisms. It has miniatures that are really cool. And it is the only Aztec area control good-looking game that I know about. So it fills the void of another area control with a different theme on it, for me.
I just looked up this game, and the fact that it's Mesoamerican, Mayan specifically, definitely piques my interest. I studied that in college.
Yeah, definitely Mayan gods. I think I might have said Aztec in there, but it's Mayan gods.
Yep.
It looks like it's going to be really good. He got a whole bunch of extra monsters for the Kickstarter one. So obviously I'll just get the base one without the extra monsters, but I'm fine with that.
Are you really?
Not really. It's like that Blood Rage thing again where I didn't get the stupid mat. I knew the mat. The mat's cool. It has like Valhalla built into it and everything. You don't have to have a separate board for it. Why wouldn't you order the mat?
It's one of those big Kickstarters that the base game may not be as good with Rising Sun. I played the Kickstarter version. I love the Kickstarter version. One of my top 10 games of all time. I had the base retail game. It's still a great game, but not nearly as good as the Kickstarter. I mean, it doesn't have the replay value because you have a lot fewer things to deal with.
Great making me feel better. Thanks.
But if you back something on Kickstarter, you have to go on with the all-in pledge. To do anything less is meaningless.
Yeah.
I know. What was I thinking? I have no idea.
Yep.
Obviously not properly. And now you're just making me like a Kickstarter addict.
It's okay. The next item on my list was actually an older game. I found this in connection with my research into engine builders that I did not know previously existed. And I found La Granja, which is a card-based engine building game, which would be like the fourth or fifth one of those I own. But it uses multi-use cards. So the cards can go on the left side of the board for one thing, on the right side of the board for another thing, or the bottom of the board to be like a special power. So that definitely intrigued me.
I do love unique themes. And there's a game that I want to try. I'm not sure whether I want to buy it because it's be a little awkward for me to play. And that's Fog of Love. Yeah, I just scared Jim away, but okay. I'll continue. Fog of Love is basically a dating simulator. You go through the different situations you might run into if you were in a couple, fights. Where should we go for vacation? This argument about how I reacted to meeting her mother, that kind of stuff. So it's like all these different scenarios and making sure you're reacting in a way that make you as compatible and functional a relationship as possible.
You make it as way too easy.
Yes, it's a very unique theme, and that's why I like it. And it's something I know nothing about, so read into that what you want.
I'll give you that it is a unique theme, and I certainly won't deny that it has a lot of positive buzz around it, so I won't fault you for it. James is the only wedded person in our group. You should have a comment here.
It's a bad idea. You see those little alarms going off? That means bad idea.
It might be my only chance to find out what a relationship's like.
Oh. Well, if you're going to use that to figure it out, it's probably not going to work out. Moving on, awkwardly.
Very.
My next top wish list item is Tapestry by Jamie Stegmaier.
So we are going to talk about this.
Yes, because it's my wish list item. Buy it for me.
Go ahead and gush about the game like I know you're going to.
First off, it's a civilization game, which I do like civ building games. 2 hours to play? That's awesome. I also watch a lot of videos on it, and I like how the advancements are distributed on the boards. I also like how it's abstracted out, so you don't have, like, I'm playing as China, I'm playing as Russia. You actually play tropes, like the futurists, the nomads, and they have different asymmetric powers based on that. Now, I will say the only thing I didn't understand is there is player elimination in the game. So you can choose as a player when you want to end. You take the final payout or something, and the game ends for you. However, other people could still be playing. I'm not too sure about that part. I like everything else about it. I like the monuments you get to build. I like little map that you have to build your civilization on, and you get points on how much you cover. I like how each tech tree is shared, so you're trying to race along to get the bonuses on it, but you can't get all of them. I have a lot of long games like Twilight Imperium, so it's nice to have one that hopefully gives me the feel of building a civilization in a shortened amount of time.
Yeah, I'm trying not to get excited about this one.
Are you succeeding?
I think an epic fail is occurring. Just talked about Fog of Love. Why don't we just go with this?
Yeah, I always get so excited about civilization building games because I always wanted a really great one, and I've yet to really feel satisfied. What I want from a civilization game is so much higher than what anything has reached. I just always still have a certain amount of disappointment. Now I'm at the point I just don't want to get excited about a civilization game. I'm optimistic. I'm hoping it's a great game. I'm hoping eventually they make one that like the Civilization PC game. But I haven't really played a game yet that really hits that.
Well, if anyone can do it, Jamie Stegmaier can. So we'll see. Also, you have time to wait because they're already sold out.
I also have half an eye on Tapestry because it's hard not to, although retailers don't get to touch it until mid-November. So I've looked into it, and it is, without a doubt, a good game. So there you go. I'm agreeing with you to a certain extent, but I have some caveats.
No, that's 100% agreement right there.
The gameplay mechanisms look like a mixture of resource management and engine building primarily, because you're putting houses out and that's increasing your income, and you're using your resources to go up the 4 different tracks, which are your actions, right? So you're trying to efficiently spend those resources to go up those tracks. But a Civ game, it is not, I don't think. The exploration is there because you get a hand of tiles, and when you explore, you have the opportunity to put one of the tiles in your hand onto the board. So at least you've got some control there. The expansion part of the game is really on your own player board. It's the putting of pieces on your capital city and the taking pieces off your income track and expanding your engine per se, not necessarily your empire. The exploitation, I'm not sure where the exploitation is in that game, because normally you'd be exploiting resources from the map. but that doesn't really apply, and the conflict is minimal.
I saw that was abstracted out pretty well.
Yeah, and the most awkward piece of the game is the tech, because you have these tech cards that you can advance over the course of the game and get bonuses from, but also the tracks, all the spaces are named, and the spaces are named after tech advancements as well. So techs appear in 2 or 3 different places in the game. Also the tapestry card, that's the third place the techs show up in. And it seems like the techs come out in a way that's not ordered. You can be maker of fire and then have time travel and then have like an estate wedding if you draw the right cards.
That's how it works. You do time travel first, you make fire second.
I am cautiously optimistic. There's no doubt in my mind that I'll enjoy this game. The question for me is whether it's going to be like a 7 or an 8 for me, which is tough to call without actually playing it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'd probably agree on the same thing. I don't think it's a 10, just from watching it, but I think it'd fall in a 7 or 8. Hopefully more on the 8 end, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Still excited about it.
Oh, yeah, yes.
So Dan, do you have any other games on your wish list?
You mentioned Orleans when we were mentioning bag building games earlier. Quacks came out ahead because it looks like the cleaner design, and I really like the push your luck element, and it seems more thematic to me. But Orleans was by far the second strongest contender. And strangely enough, I may be able to have my soup or have my cake and eat it too, because Orleans Stories is coming out this year, but it uses the Orleans bag building system, but it's a different kind of standalone game. It's still basically a bag builder at its heart, but it's got a couple extra bells and whistles in it from the original game, and a couple things taken away. That's a game that I've definitely gotten my eye on, and I have to do my research heavily to determine which version is going to be the one that's going to work better for me. I don't think I want both. No.
Orleans Stories looks really cool. I'd never even heard of it before. It looks like a smaller map.
One of the pieces that was taken out or changed significantly is how the map works, yes.
Where's the story parts of it?
So the stories parts of it comes in the fact that there's 2 different game modes in the box.
Okay.
Not like a legacy game or a storytelling game by any stretch of the imagination. There isn't a paragraph book. There's just a couple different ways to play.
All right.
Cracks is almost guaranteed for me at this point, depending upon how that goes. Like, if I like bag building as a general thing, I might pick up Orleans or Orleans Stories.
I do have another one that's going to cause you to question.
Is that the Fog of Love expansion? I don't want to hear about it.
No.
Can't you feel the love?
I don't know how much more I can question you, but go ahead.
So, again, I do love unique themes. Anything that's a little off of what I normally would be interested in. And so I'm fairly interested in either Rococo or Pret-a-Porter.
Okay. Pret-a-Porter is very high rank. That just got reprinted on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Nasi Chevacek designed that game, I think.
Yep.
They were thinking about making it into a video game version, but never did. Instead with the fashion design thing, but it's supposed to be a phenomenal game.
Well, actually, between the two, I was thinking more Rococo, because Rococo's more a deck builder. The mechanics seem more interesting to me. You're designing a dress, but you're also decorating this ballroom, and it's all about having the nicest combination of materials and design elements. I did play a game that kind of tried for the same thing called Shakespeare.
Is that the one about putting on a play?
Yes. It was a little bit lighter on the theme, so I didn't think it quite hit. In Shakespeare, what you do is you get actors and writers and costume designers and set makers, and you're trying to grab all the best costume pieces and put them together to dress your actors, and you get the best set pieces, and it's somewhat abstracted out. Whereas Pret-a-Porter and Rococo both really focus on the imagery and trying to actually get pieces that actually look nice together.
Yeah, didn't question you too much.
Even though they've got strange themes attached to them, they both look like solid ones to me, so.
Rococo's not available. Hopefully it'll be available again eventually.
Technically, Pret-a-Porter is not available either.
Yeah, I mean, it was Kickstarted recently, so I could have got it. I almost backed it, but there was too many things I was spending my money on at the time.
So my last wish list game is Barrage.
Man, your list is short.
Barrage is interesting because it's a resource management strategic game, which I really like that. Got good reviews so far. It looks like a lot of different mechanisms to manage these resources. It has different wheels. And I need at least €1 in my list of wishlist stuff. Also, I like the 1930s dystopia industrial revolution. So it's like a little bit of a steampunk vibe to it. It's definitely €1, so it's going to be a limited audience I'll get to play it with, but it does look awesome. It has Zulkin style discs that move around in it, but not quite as cool as the gears in Zulkin.
Of course not.
No, those things are awesome. Oh, okay. Secondary wish list on the same thing is Zulkin.
We need to line up a game session. You can play my copy once.
Or you can visit me and play mine.
Yeah, that's true. I definitely want to play Zulkin. Zulkin's getting an expansion, too.
I'm sorry, another one?
Tribes and Prophecy looks like the expansion I'm talking about.
Actually, I do own the expansion.
Ooh, you win.
I've played the Tribes because the Tribes basically just adds unique player powers, which are always interesting. And I've played the module that allows you to add a player or two, I think once. Not too often, because you don't really want that game to go to 5 or 6. But the other module, Prophecies, I have not yet touched. We have not yet played with any Prophecy stuff, even though I've had it for a while. So, there you go.
So what's your next wishlist game, Dan?
Well, I wanted to go back to Barrage for a second.
Sure.
I actually like the way this looked, but I can see where a lot of people probably won't. Especially, the cover art. It's monotone, very minimalistic. It's very, 1920s version of the future.
Yeah, to me it looks dystopian, which you said it was, right?
Yeah, it's a dystopian future past.
Alternate present?
Side-style alternate present thing, only with no mechs.
The production quality looks a little bit questionable because those dials, they all look like they're all been warped.
I saw those. I can fix it. It's cardboard.
It's not a deal breaker, but it's just a concern.
It looks like a cube pusher. Oh, yep, there are cubes right there.
There are cubes. It is resource management and cube pushing.
Glad that's established.
Okay, just to put out one of my favorite games that I never get to play is Power Grid.
Meh.
It's so good. It is so good. There is nothing like numerically crushing other people.
I think my copy of Power Grid has gotten off my shelf once in the last 2 years. You ask me if I want to play Power Grid. It's one of those games that's always like, wouldn't you rather play this?
Dan, on to your next wish. Moving on. What's your next wish list item?
I've got at least one more, sure. I found a game called Endeavor Age of Sail.
Oh, yeah. I played it.
Oh, you have? All right. So the game's got all these little tokens, and you collect the tokens through a system of area control. Well, there is an area control element to the game, because the different regions you want to have majority in.
Yes.
For various reasons. And then you have these stats on your player board, and as you take these tokens, your stats go up, allowing you to own more buildings and own more workers and take more actions, I think. I don't even know what all they do, but saw this game, read a little bit about it, watched a video of it, and I'm like, oh no, this seems actually pretty good. Simple, but definitely pretty good.
It's a very complex, good strategy game. A lot goes into it. The card flips can get into luck, but you know what's in there. There's a certain card flip that can change your strategy and do different things to you based on which way you went. I like the game a lot. I couldn't really get to the table that much, so I ended up giving it to Nathan. That was the original pre-Kickstarter version, but it looks like when they reprinted on the Kickstarter, they didn't really change anything. And I think that's where it really got into popularity now, is the Kickstarter version of it.
I'm sorry, is the version that you played the one that came out, I guess it was last year? That seems to be the newest version available.
The one I have is the original one, which I believe is 10 years old.
Oh, okay. The newer version looks a lot sweeter.
It has much better graphics. I believe they kept the gameplay and the stuff the same, but the components are better. The art's a lot better. The art on the original one's very bland.
Yeah.
The new one's more vibrant and better looking. I think you'll really like the game.
That's sort of why I added it to my wish list, is that I looked at it and I'm like, no, I'll probably like this.
You added it to your wish list, but I hate this. I'm going to get it till I hate it.
I'm going to add this to my wish list, but I'm going to hate it.
Yeah, games on my wish list so I enjoy the other games more. No, you'll like it. It's a good game. Nathan, did you get a chance to play it yet?
No, I've not had a chance to pull it out yet. Unfortunately. I actually have a sudden increase in sailing games. I have not got many of them to the table yet.
It's odd that you mentioned sailing games because I went researching pirate games, and because I didn't find enough good pirate games, I expanded the search to include maritime games in general. But I'm still paring those down, so I won't mention any of them.
Seafall.
Merchants and Marauders?
Merchants and Marauders seems to be like the old game that you need to play in order to have a proper frame of reference.
It is 9 years old at this point.
It does seem to be the game at which other games are measured against. It's also a longer game, which is sort of like, I'm not really looking for a longer game, but...
It is the pirate game currently, though.
It's certainly got its boots on and is walking out the door in terms of that.
Other one that was rated pretty well, though, Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Yeah, that's the dungeon crawler.
Sort of, not really.
You're moving around on a map and you're trying to escape the ship and you're fighting skeletons and you're collecting treasure, right?
Isn't that the one where the ship's on fire?
The ship's on fire, yeah.
It's a push your luck game, and you try to go in as far as you're willing, and then get back out before you become dead, so you can tell no tales.
It's definitely on a boat, but you're not really sailing in that game, I don't believe.
No, you're not sailing on that game at all, no. I don't know. Merchants and Marauders, I think you should give it a shot. It's fun.
It's on my radar as something I'd be willing to try. Maybe we'll go looking for a copy. Maybe not. I think it's out of print right now.
There's a really cool piratey game that's really short. I think you even have it in your store.
Are you thinking of Loot?
Nope.
Because that's a simple, like, little trick-taking game.
Jamaica.
Ah, okay. Yes. I'm familiar with that. It's like a racing game, and it's got a pirate theme.
Jamaica. You're playing a boat that has people on it that are pirates. And you race around a track for gold. But you can blow each other up, you can steal treasure from each other. At the beginning of the round, you have 2 dice rolled, and it goes in the right and the left, so everyone has the same dice, and then you play cards, and you can either go forward or backwards. It's really cool and short. So it meets your short criteria, and there's pirates.
Continue my research.
I didn't sell you on that one.
Maybe Islebound? It's not really focused too much on the sailing. It's just a storytelling game that you happen to be sailing around. It's Ryan Lockett. It is a good game. And it looks really nice.
Is this the same person who did...
Near and Far?
Man.
Above and Below?
Near and Far. Yeah, okay, yeah.
A really good pirate game that I did forget about, which I love playing. It's a Grail game, not necessarily a wishlist game because it's like $300 right now, is Libertalia.
Oh, yeah, the role selection game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Libertalia is insanely good. It is such a good game.
I did really enjoy that one.
I'll share this one with you guys. Through my research, so far, the Leader of the Pack is a game I will probably never, ever buy because it looks like a thematic mess.
If you say Fog of Love, I swear.
No, there's a pirate game. It's called Skull Tales Full Sail. And I say that this game is a thematic mess because a single adventure takes place in 3 phases. Phase 1 is you're sailing around the open seas and you're co-oping, and you can use your character to activate various boat actions to make it move or make it attack or clean up the dust, which improves morale. And morale is important because if you run out of morale before you find what you're looking for, the mission is considered a failure. But then after that, there's a second phase of the adventure where there's tiles and you're flipping over the tiles to explore them, and you're moving your character around the tiles and fighting enemies like a dungeon crawler. And then there's a third phase where you're back at port spending your money.
I was looking at the game and it looks different. It's very piratey. Very, very piratey. To the point where you're like, wow, there's too much piratiness in this.
It's extremely piratey. Yeah, almost too much. Also, the fact that the game occurs in these 3 phases is amazing, but also makes it complex.
It does have an 8.5 rating on BGG.
Yeah, so apparently people like it. At least those people.
If you look at the shelf behind me, you might see a copy of it.
Oh, no. I'm going to look at the camera and now I'm going to cry. Oh. Have you played that one, Nathan, at all?
No.
I see.
Actually, it's one of the problems with Kickstarters. I ordered this on Kickstarter. I was super excited about it. But a year later, when I finally get it, I've moved on to other things.
Yeah.
Well, did you get a wooden dice tower with it?
Well, no, that's other components. That's not a dice tower.
It says wooden dice tower on it.
Huh? Well, maybe I better open it. I don't remember seeing a wooden dice tower.
You haven't even opened it yet?
No, I'm not opening it.
And you get gems.
Oh,
This is getting worse.
man.
You're like my friend at work who kickstarted Fireball Island, got Fireball Island with everything, lost Fireball Island inside of his house without opening it, and just found it this weekend underneath his dirty laundry.
Well, the fact that it was underneath dirty laundry does not bode well for the laundry, I imagine.
No, I'm like, well, how did you lose it, and how did it end up being under laundry for 4 months?
Yeah. So that game, I guess you could call it a wish list game, because I do want to kind of try it, but it's also an hour to 150 minutes playing time. It's a little long for me personally. You could actually crack something out in 60. I'd be acceptable, but doesn't look like it'll be finished in 60, gentlemen. It looks like it'll only be finished in 60 if you lose the scenario.
Kind of like Seventh Continent. If you lose the scenario, you can end the game in 5 minutes, but it could take up to 1,000 minutes.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, that game's a little ridiculous, but it got good ratings, so maybe it's good.
I suppose you could still call it a wish list for me, because I wish I had time to pull it off my shelf and get it played. I really have always wanted to try a Dream Factory or a Trump Fabric.
What? Are you sure you're not confusing yourself with some, like, detergent?
Dream Factory is a game I've heard of before. That's the movie-making one. What's this other one?
Trump Fabric is the game that Dream Factory was a remake of. The nice thing about the German version, it had actual real actors, real movies, all black and white era, so it's all license-free stuff. Dream Factory, they moved into the parody, which, I mean, I don't mind the parody, but I would much rather have actual real actors in movies.
I remember when this game was in the store. I'm pretty sure we didn't move it except on discount, and here it is sitting at $6.50 something on BGG.
It's a bidding game where you're trying to get the best actors, get the best scripts, and just try to put together the best movie you can. And at the end, you get awards for best film, best director. You can even get awards for having the worst film.
Oh man, Razzies, nice.
But also part of the reason I'm interested in this game is because if I ever do design a game, it's going to be something of a similar theme, where I was thinking more along the lines of editing games, where you're trying to pay attention to pacing of the shots and the emotional level and all that and make a solid story. Now, don't take that idea and run with it. That's my idea.
No, you're good.
Yeah, you're good. No.
Wow, that makes me so confident in how well that
For some reason, I'm reminded here of the game The Networks. It's not quite in the same bucket since you're producing shows for television, but you do combine actors, shows, ads.
Yeah, that's also one I've been interested in.
I've only played that maybe once or possibly twice through club meetings. That was a while back. Mechanically, it's yet another engine building game, but it's a relatively thematic one, so makes a pass in my book.
I was waiting for saying your next game is Unicorn Fever.
Now,
New hotness on BGG, made by Horrible Games.
well, I have several games on my radar that I'm keeping an eye on, like Tapestry, but aren't really necessarily on my wish list yet. But I got one more game on my wish list, but it's another roll and write, and it's actually Lagrange, no siesta.
Okay.
When I discovered there was a roll and write Lagrange, I'm like, okay, well, what is this game about? Because, like, actual big Lagrange is an engine builder that uses multi-purpose cards, which, I'm all about engine builders that use multi-purpose cards. Lagrange No Siesta appears to be a roll and write that has an engine building element to it, I guess, in the way that you unlock workers and move up the siesta track and you fill out your score sheet and you get bonuses for repeated items in a single category. So it's on my list as something worth looking into, worth checking out.
Sounds like a solid game. Any other wish lists, Nathan?
Basically anything Legacy for me. I've always wanted to try Risk Legacy. Betrayal Legacy. Downside to Betrayal Legacy is because I have two different versions of Betrayal on House of the Hill, and I don't know if it's going to be different enough to be worth getting for that.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Please like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, join our BGG Guild, guild number 2989, or you can join our guild by going to tabletopgamingguild.com/guild. You can also join our Slack channel where we're going to discuss board game related topics and our next podcasts. You can also visit our website, tabletopgamingguild.com, and you can email us at tabletopgamingguild@gmail.com. The Tabletop Gaming Guild podcast is a product of Tabletop Gaming Guild, LLC. All rights reserved. Thanks again for listening.